I never thought something I said in the heat of the moment would, actually end everything. But, well, here we are. I guess I should have known better. But, sometimes when you're just like caught up in frustration, it just kind of slips out. So I'm Ashley, 33 years old, and this is the mess I made. I don't even know where to start. Can't stop thinking about it, how something that was supposed to be like a harmless joke turned into this, disaster that ripped my family apart. It's like a bad dream, but, it actually happened. Keep it simple, I teased him about his salary. Just in a light-hearted way, or, at least that's what I thought it was. Lately, we'd been arguing a lot. Nothing major or anything, just the usual stuff. Bills piling up, me nagging him about his job, and, him getting all defensive like he always does. I didn't mean to hurt him, but I guess I kinda did. See, I've always been the one to, handle the money in our house. But, I'm honestly terrible at it. I overspend, I don't save, and I'm like super impulsive. I mean, if I want something, I just, get it, right? Who wouldn't? Then there's him, Ryan. He's 35 and, he's a really good guy. Works hard. But his job? Just doesn't pay enough to keep up with, all the things I want. And that's what, bothers me the most. I love him. I really do. But sometimes when I look at our life, I just, can't help feeling like he's not cutting it. I don't know. Maybe that sounds harsh, but it's like the truth. I need more, So, we were sitting in the living room. Kids were at their grandma's for the night, and Ryan was like going on about how we should be more careful with money. I hate hearing that, It just feels like constant nagging. We've had that same conversation like a million times. And, he still doesn't get it. Life's too short to stress about every little penny, right? So that night I decided to, make a joke. A joke that I thought was harmless, but, clearly it wasn't. I looked at him and said, maybe you should, get a better job, At least then we wouldn't have to stress so much about the bills. And then, I don't even know why, but I added, or I don't know, maybe I should just, get a sugar daddy. At least they know how to take care of things. I laughed after I said it like it was all just a joke. But, you could see the change in his face. He didn't laugh. His eyes just went cold. First, I didn't get it. I mean, what was his problem? It was just a joke. But then he stood up and walked out. Honestly, I thought he was just being, dramatic. I figured he'd cool off and come back, But when he didn't come back that night, I started to, get worried. I tried calling and texting him, but he wasn't answering. And that's when, the anxiety started creeping in. I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that stupid joke in my head. But it's not like I could take it back now, right? The next morning, Ryan came home. But, there was this heavy silence between us. I could feel it, He didn't even look at me when he walked in. I tried to act like, everything was fine, like nothing had happened, but he wouldn't speak to me. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, so I asked him, what's going on? And that's when he just let it all out. You don't get it, Ashley, he said, his voice tight. You think it's funny to make fun of my job? To talk about getting a sugar daddy while we're barely scraping by? That's not funny. It's hurtful. And it makes me feel like crap. I wasn't ready for that. I mean, sure, he sounded angry, but I didn't even, understand why. It was just a joke, right? Wasn't he, overreacting? But instead of backing down, I just doubled down. I told him he was being too sensitive, that it was just a joke, and, I didn't mean anything by it. 'Cause honestly, I didn't. But he wasn't having it. I'm not being sensitive, Ashley, he said, his voice sharper now. You've been on me for months about how much money we don't have, about how I'm not doing enough. And then you throw a jab like that? It's too much. I'm done. I just stood there, stunned. He said he was done, but, I didn't believe him. I thought he was just saying it, in the heat of the moment. But the more we argued, the more it became clear that he wasn't backing down. He was serious. I kept pushing, trying to make him see that it was just a stupid joke. But the harder I pushed, the more distant he got. And that's when I realized it wasn't just about the joke anymore. It was about everything. He was tired. Tired of me treating him like he wasn't enough. Tired of me always spending money and never being satisfied. Tired of me never taking responsibility for anything. And that's what hit me the hardest. I wanted to blame him for overreacting, but deep down I knew this was on me. I had crossed a line. I shouldn't have said that to him. But the thing is, at the time, I didn't even think it was a big deal. And even now, I'm still trying to wrap my head around why it mattered so much. But something inside me knew I'd messed up. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between us. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything Ryan had said, his words just echoing in my head. You think I'm not enough. You think I'm a joke. Stung more every time I thought about it, but I didn't know how to fix it. The next few days were tense, to say the least. He didn't really talk to me, just kept his distance. I'd try to start small conversations like about the kids or groceries or whatever, but he'd just nod or give short answers. Felt like there was this massive wall between us. And honestly, I was too stubborn to apologize. I kept telling myself, he's just being dramatic. He'll get over it. But he didn't. One night, I sent him a text. It said something like, if you'd just talk to me, we could move past this. I'm sorry you're upset, but I don't know what you want me to do. He responded hours later, and his message hit me like a brick. I need space, Ashley. I need time to think. I don't know if I can keep doing this. I stared at that text for what felt like forever. I still didn't get it. Why couldn't he just, let it go? It wasn't that serious, was it? The weekend rolled around, and that's when it really hit me how serious things were. We'd made plans to take the kids to the park, something we'd always done together. But Ryan didn't show up. I ended up taking the kids on my own, but I couldn't enjoy it. They were laughing, having fun, but all I could think about was how he wasn't there. When we got home, the house felt even quieter than usual. That night, as I sat on the couch scrolling through my phone, the tears just started falling. Felt like everything was falling apart. But even then, I couldn't bring myself to really apologize. 'Cause honestly, it wasn't just the joke anymore. It was everything. The way I'd treated him for so long. The way I hadn't listened. The way I'd taken him for granted. But admitting that felt too hard. The tension in the house kept building. Every time I walked in, it felt like I was stepping into some kind of emotional minefield. Ryan was still distant, cold even, and honestly, I was losing my patience. It was like he wanted me to grovel or something. But that wasn't gonna happen. I mean, it was just a joke, right? Why should I have to, beg for forgiveness over something so small? That night, I couldn't take it anymore. He was sitting on the couch, flipping through channels like nothing was wrong. I felt the frustration bubbling up inside me, you know? I sent the kids to bed, grabbed my phone, and finally confronted him. Why are you still acting like this? I snapped, standing in front of him. I've apologized, haven't I? So, what's your problem? Ryan looked at me for a long moment before he stood up. And, the calm way he moved? It was almost scarier than if he'd yelled. Ashley, he said, his voice low and sharp, this isn't just about that stupid joke. He paused, shaking his head. It's everything. The way you treat me like I'm nothing. The way you laugh at me like I'm just here to entertain you. You think I don't notice? I opened my mouth to respond, but he cut me off. No, he continued, his voice rising now. You don't get it. I'm sick of it. You make jokes about my job, about how much money I make. You laugh like it's funny, but it's not. It's degrading. And you know what? I let it slide. I let you say whatever you wanted because I thought you didn't mean it. But now I realize you do mean it. You think I'm not good enough. You think you're better than me. And I've had enough. I felt my stomach twist into knots. This wasn't supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to get this angry. You're blowing this way out of proportion, I muttered, crossing my arms. It was a joke, a harmless joke. You're acting like I said something horrible, but I didn't. You're overreacting. He took a step closer, and the look in his eyes made me freeze. You think I'm overreacting? He said, his voice quiet but intense. You think I'm the problem here? He shook his head and let out a bitter laugh. You're not as perfect as you think you are, Ashley. I blinked, taken aback. He never talked to me like this. You're impulsive, he continued. You spend money like it grows on trees and never think about how it affects anyone else. I'm out here trying to keep us afloat, but every time I turn around, you're throwing money away on things we don't need. But you know what? It's not just the money. It's the way you treat me. Like I'm just some guy you can push around. But I'm done, Ashley. I can't do this anymore. I felt my heart drop. But instead of letting him see how much his words hurt, I pushed back. Oh, so now you're what, the perfect husband? I shot back, my voice shaking with anger. You're not exactly flawless, Ryan. You've got your own issues too, but you're too busy blaming me to notice. He stared at me, his face full of disbelief. You really don't get it, do you? He said, shaking his head again. You think this is about the joke, but it's not. It's about everything. The way you talk to me, the way you make me feel small. I've been trying to make this work, Ashley. I've been trying so hard. But all you do is tear me down. You're so focused on what's wrong with me that you can't even see what's wrong with you. I just stood there, speechless, my throat tightening. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was being unfair. But something in the way he looked at me, it made me realize he was right. At least a little bit. I'm sorry, I whispered, but the words felt hollow. I didn't mean to hurt you. He just shook his head, his face hardening. Sorry doesn't fix anything, Ashley. I've been trying to fix this for a long time, but you don't want to change. You just want to stay the same, make excuses, and pretend it's everyone else's fault. The silence between us was crushing. I wanted to say something, anything, to make him see I was trying. But the truth? I hadn't been trying. I need space, he said finally, turning toward the door. I need to figure out what I want. I stood there, frozen, watching him leave. Part of me wanted to run after him, to beg him to stay. But another part of me, this stubborn, prideful part, held me back. And then he was gone.